I have some more hairs here to look at. So James Whitfield, that's with Bigfootworld, in the group with Kathy and Pam and Brooke. James sent me some hairs, and he's wanting to know if they might be black bear. These are some that he found in the woods. So I'm going to check these out. Do another hair exam here. And I've been researching some on the internet too. So I have some interesting things to tell you about here too while I'm doing the, seeing if these are bear. Alright, so he put these in the envelope and wrapped them up in paper. So typically when you do collect hairs, that's what you're supposed to do too. You're supposed to use tweezers if you can. You're supposed to use gloves and tweezers. Use tweezers if you can. There's been times where I couldn't use tweezers. It was a lot much easier just with the gloves on my hands and picking hairs off a barbed wire fence. But you want to put them in paper envelope, and then write on the envelope everything, the date, the time, where it was collected, all that sort of stuff. So that is so when you're collecting that for forensic exams or for forensic, even for DNA analysis, that's called a chain of custody. Alright, this is a big wad of hair here. Alright, so this time instead of bringing the camcorder over to get a close-up of this, I'm just going to use the phone. Alright, so here's this big wad of hair that I'm looking at for James. So there's my hand for comparison. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at these. So he's wondering if this is bear. Alright, so we're going to take a look at this. And that just reminded me of something too. Here, taking a photo or video of this with my phone. A little of it here didn't want to focus too good. So I found some hairs before on fences, and that I wasn't sure what it was, because it was like a clear and a green and had different colors in it. So I'm going to be looking at them again here soon, because I'm starting to think that those might also be hogs, wild hogs, because there's a lot of different colors of wild hogs, and that might be some that are the feral hogs mixed in with the wild and become wild, and they might actually be wild hog hairs. So I'll be looking at them more here soon too. But there was one time where there were some on the barbed wire fence, and I got where I was calling them camouflage hairs because they have a lot of clear, a lot of green, a lot of browns. And Desi got up there with her phone to take a photo of it, and she got really close to it, and it wouldn't focus. And she made a comment about, well, your comment about the camouflage is really fitting in here because they're being camouflaged from the phone. The phone won't focus on them. But I'll be getting back to them soon too and looking at them. Alright, so just a quick look. These do look like hairs. They do look like hair. It doesn't look like the vine moss. And I'm trying to look at some of the ends of it. Alright. So let's get started with the I'll get started with the digital microscope. Here we go. I've been doing pretty good with these gloves with doing the touching on that and the laptop and the phone, but tonight it's not working as good. Okay, so one of the things when we're looking at the hairs here, one thing we're looking at is we're looking for it to be circular, and always circular for hairs. So that doesn't look circular. Alright, that looks zoomed in pretty good. Some of this is looking flat. Alright, let's go to another spot. See, we're seeing a lot of irregularities here with the digital microscope. Yeah, so this is a lot of irregularities. Alright, so it looks right off here like this is the horsehair fungi. And some of this looks a little different than I've seen in the past. Like this right here, this part is some growth on it that you don't normally see. So see, this looks like a wad of hair. But then when you get it under the microscope here, it doesn't. Got it out of focus there. There we go. Alright, so see stuff like this here. This is fiber. This is organic fiber material. So this is the horsehair fungi, which we've been calling it. A lot of us call it the black vine moss. Yeah, so that's what this is. So this stuff can sure fool you. I know it fooled me at first too. So you don't see all this with just your eyes. Having it on the digital microscope like this, where you can look at it real good. Look at it magnified like this. Alright, so we discovered what it was pretty quick there. So I don't have to use the compound microscope. Alright, so I'm going to stop that. Alright, so that's what that is. It's the black vine moss, or what we call the horsehair fungi. But I'll tell you what, since I was gonna, I'll put that back in the envelope. So I want to give all these back to Kathy this weekend when we're at Ripley's, believe it or not. And I want to have all these videos ready for her. So I'll get that put back in there in a moment. And might as well take these off. So I'll be back in just a second, and I want to go over a couple things here that I was discovering and learning about. Alright, so I got some things I wanted to go over here, because when I was doing some research into this, expecting these to maybe be black bear hairs like James was wondering if they were. So I was doing some research, because when I did the hair exam for Kathy, I think it was about a year ago, and I found that they were Sasquatch hairs. And I also did a comparison with some hairs that I took off a fence myself that I knew were black bear, and those black bears those hairs from the black bear that I took off the fence did not have a medulla, did not show a medulla on it. And I've had people say, you know, well, don't the bears have a medulla? So I was looking at that, some of that here. Alright, so bear hair refers to the dense, dual-layered coat, the guard hairs, and underfur that insulates bears. Okay, so also let me talk about that too, because the guard hairs are actually the hairs that are on the outside of the coat. The fur is on the inside, underneath all the other hairs. So you have hairs on the coat sticking out, and then you have hairs on top of them that are called guard hairs. Those guard hairs are bigger, longer, and they're actually, they help hold in the warmth, and they help to make the bear waterproof. So when they go in the water, they're swimming in all those cold temperatures up there. Their hairs, the guard hairs, are the ones on the outside of the coat, and those are actually hairs, and they're there to protect the bear from the water, to make them waterproof, and to keep them warm. And then the actual fur is up underneath. So there's a difference there. And a lot of people say, well, don't the animals have fur and not hair? But all the animals do have hair. Alright, so because what I was looking at here was alright, so for insulation, a bear's coat has oily guard hairs for water protection and thick underfur for warmth. And then it talks about the polar bears having the unique hollow structures for light and energy. So the polar bears actually have the clear hairs. So they're here to call them hollow, the unique hollow structures. So that it makes them look white in the snow. And then if they grow algae on them, on the hairs, then you get the green colors. Alright, so it says the hollow hairs are actually for light and for energy. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So the DNA analysis, scientists collect shed bear hair to analyze DNA so they can, for population management and understanding bear origins. So a single bear can have millions of hairs, with species and individuals varying in count. Alright, so I want to go to some more here. So I was looking up the medulla in the bears. So yes, bear hair has a medulla, but its structure varies significantly by species and even between guard hairs and under fur. So often appearing as a narrow, continuous, or interrupted or even absent core, with polar bear guard hairs featuring a prominent hollow medulla, important for their translucent appearance. Alright, so unlike human hair, which often lacks a medulla, bear hair typically has one, but it can be uniserial ladder, which is kind of instead of a straight continuous, it's got like a ladder shape to it. I'll show a sample here also on this so you can see where it shows the absent medulla, the fragmented, the ladder type. It shows all these, so you can see what I'm talking about with the ladder. Alright, interrupted or even absent, even within the same bear. So the same bear, depending on the hairs where they're at, can have a medulla and can not have a medulla. So that's what I was wanting to learn about there. So the bear hairs that I found that did not show a medulla, so on another part of the bear, if I could have got hairs from different parts of the bear and studied them, some of those hairs may have had a medulla, whereas the ones I found did not. So he went through barbed wire fence, the ones I found, and they were really long and black. So there's a good chance they were from either from his stomach or from his back. I don't remember exactly which wires I took it off of. So they might have been from his stomach, the hairs off his stomach, but they did not show a medulla. So this helps me understand that. So a lot of the hairs we're finding, as far as like Sasquatch hairs that are having the skunk ape, Bigfoot, Sasquatch that are having the clear in it, and people are comparing that. So a couple of the researchers have compared that to the polar bear hairs that are having the clear hairs that don't show a medulla. So that's the same thing. And there's no animals here in Florida that have the clear hairs, as far as I know anyway. And as far as I've been doing this and studying the hairs. So even here it's saying that the underfur medulla can be absent in a significant percentage of hairs, while the guard hairs might have a continuous medulla. Insulation, the air spaces within the medulla, so it's, again, especially in polar bears, help trap heat, so it helps keep them warm. And then again, it talks about how the wildlife biologist can identify different bear species depending on the hairs. Okay, and then I was looking at how the scales would look too, trying to make sure what I'm looking for. If these were to be black bear hairs, I wanted to know what the scales would have looked like. So this is saying that the scales can differ slightly between bears. The black bear guard hairs have large individual scales with moderately spaced margins, changing from smooth to torn paper patterns. So it's just saying that just things like that I'm coming across here. The scale count and can be similar across different types of bears. Under a microscope, these scales form distinct patterns, so that's what we were looking for. And they mentioned polar bears quite a bit in this, even though I was looking for black bears and the black bear hair, the scales on the black bear, the medulla on the black bear. It's mentioned in polar bears quite a bit. So the cuticle scales strengthen and protect the hair shaft. The cuticle scales are the outside of the hair. Alright, and then I was looking at some different images here too of the showing the hair, the scale patterns on the hairs. But that was the most interesting to me about the holding in the heat, the light, keeping them warm. So here's a scale pattern and the medulla. So I'll show this. I just did a screenshot of that. I'll show that too. So see, like here's one thing showing the different scales. All the different animals have different scale types on the outside of the hair. And humans, including humans and Sasquatch too, and hogs, and everything's got a different scale pattern. So that too was one thing too that I talked about too, was the guard hairs actually being the outer layer of the hair. So the guard hairs are the long, coarse outer layer of fur on many mammals, acting as a protective barrier against rain, snow, sunlight, and abrasion, while also providing color and helping regulate body temperature by trapping air. They are the most visible hairs, creating the animal's distinctive look, and often have a water-repellent, glossy feel, like the top layer on a mink or wolf coat. So that's the thing I just want to talk about, the difference too, but like I said, between the guard hair and they're actually the fur hairs, which are up underneath, but they're still hairs. Even though people say, well, the animals have fur, they don't have hair, but yeah, they do have hair. And even though they're calling it fur because it's up underneath the longer hairs that are keeping them protected, it's still hairs. So protection, they shield the softer undercoat, the down hairs, what they're saying here, and skin from moisture, from the UV rays, dirt, and physical damage. So the UV rays too, I've talked about that in some of my videos. So the guard hairs, the long hairs on the outside, protect against waterproof and water, but they also protect against the UV rays from the sun. So they shed water and snow, keeping the animal dry. Insulation, they trap the air to help maintain core body temperature, working with the undercoat. Alright, camouflage and appearance, provide the primary color patterns and can stand on end for threat displays. So like a cat's Halloween look. So I just wanted to bring that up too, because the guard hairs that I'm talking about says provide the primary color and patterns and can stand on end for a threat. So like if a lot of people talk about how they're in an area and all of a sudden the hairs on the back of their neck stand up, or the hairs on their arm will stand up because they're feeling a threat, they're feeling something not right, something wrong going on there. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. Most of this is all covering what I've already talked about. Alright, so I just wanted to add all that in here too and talk about some of the things I was learning about while I was getting ready to do these hairs, examine these hairs. Alright, so that's the hairs that James sent me. Alright, so that'll take care of this one here, and then I'll still have one more set of hairs to look at. in the next video.